Coming up on First at 4, with warmer weather approaching, police want the public to be aware of used needles in parks, which could pose a health risk.
House Democrats are using star power to raise awareness about the gender pay gap on this Equal Pay Day. I'm Natalie Brand on Capitol Hill with how they're trying to close the gap.
Clouds have been stubborn to leave the mountains today, but as they move out, much warmer weather moves in. A complete look at your forecast is coming up. First at 4 is next.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News First at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, when the weather warms up, much like it will in the next couple of days, people may head to the parks more. But officials want you to keep an eye out for used needles. Police say although it's still pretty rare, it does happen. WYMT's Connor James has more on what to do if you come across one.
Yeah, it can really put a damper on your day. If you go to the park and where your kids are playing, you find a couple needles. Now, it doesn't happen a lot, but it does still happen. Officials with the Perry County Sheriff's Office say they do a lot of sweeps of parks in the county, but as a parent, it's still important to walk around and just double check just to make sure there are none. And in that situation that maybe you do come across one, officials say just call 911 first. If it's something that has to be removed quickly, the easiest way to do that is finding a plastic bottle, unscrewing the lid, picking up the needle safely, and putting it in that bottle.
With the top on it, if you can safely pick that up, drop that needle in that bottle, cap it off, take it to your local ambulance service, fire department, or hospital, police department, and they can dispose of it, or just throw it in the trash. If it's in that bottle, it's not going to be able to poke or stick anyone.
You know, and at the end of the day, this shouldn't deter you from enjoying all that the Perry County Park and parks across the region have to offer. Just do so vigilantly. I'm in Perry County, Connor James, WYMT Mountain News.
There are multiple locations across the county to drop off used needles. Perry County also has a needle exchange program, as do many counties now. We'll have more on this coming up at 6.
We've seen a little bit of warmer weather across the mountains today, but the big story has been the stubborn cloud cover and a few lingering showers we've seen across the region. Right now on the Skycam at the National Weather Service office in Jackson, overcast skies, and those clouds are hanging tough. However, back off to the west, a little break in the clouds is beginning to form, and we will see improving conditions as we head through the evening hours. Pinpoint Doppler nice and dry right now, but earlier in the day we were tracking a few showers mainly across the Tennessee and Virginia borders. Those have dissipated, and you can see that clearing line right on top of Somerset right now, pushing towards the I-75 corridor. So if you're not seeing clear skies yet, hang in there a couple more hours. That clearing is heading our way, and where it has cleared out, temperatures have spiked. 57 right now, Monticello, 52, Somerset and London, 57 in Lexington. And I think most of us will spike into the mid to upper 50s before sunset, and then those temperatures will begin to drop. Now, we will see a little bit of a southerly breeze tonight, and that will prevent the temperatures from falling quite as far as they did last night, with those thermostats bottoming out around 39 degrees tonight. Bottom line, though, warmer weather is on the way. Several days of a warming trend is coming our way, and we'll talk about just how warm those temperatures will be here in a few minutes, Steve.
All right, Shane, thank you. Police issued an Amber Alert this morning for a missing 16-year-old girl in Kentucky. Lauren Sizemore was last seen at her home in Dawson Springs March 30th. She's believed to be with this man, 56-year-old Glenn Eugene Harper, her step-grandfather. Harper was last seen driving a maroon 2004 Hyundai Sonata with a Kentucky temporary tag number of 9555994. We know that Harper told a friend that he was heading to Texas. If you see Harper, Sizemore, or the car, you should call 911 immediately. One person is dead and 2 others injured after a chemical plant fire in Texas. It happened at the KMCO plant in Crosby earlier today. The CEO of the company says they are deeply saddened to confirm the death and injuries. He also says crews are working with local fire departments to extinguish the blaze. Authorities believe a flammable, colorless gas started the fire that is still burning. Today is Equal Pay Day, a date that marks how far into the year women must work to earn as much as men did the year before. CBS's Natalie Brand takes a closer look at the gender pay gap from Capitol Hill, where Democrats use star power to mark the occasion.
Democratic congresswomen gathered to raise awareness about the gender pay gap on Equal Pay Day.
I hope we never have to recognize this day again, because we will have finally achieved pay equity.
Lending them her star power was actress Michelle Williams.
When a person or a group of people acknowledge your worth, you seek to meet that worth.
Studies show the pay gap has narrowed, but women on average still make around 80 cents to every dollar men earn. The gap is even larger for women of color.
We need to strengthen our equal pay laws. Pay discrimination is hard to challenge because it's hard to know that you're being paid less than the man across the hall.
The Democratic-controlled House, with now a record number of female members serving, last week passed the Paycheck Fairness Act. The bill aims to increase transparency in the workplace around pay and would also prevent employers from using salary history to determine future pay.
She and I think, make the exact same salary.
Erin Haney says negotiation is key to closing the gap.
Just asking for what you want and being clear about what your own value is and what your contributions are and demanding that those be recognized.
Experts say labor movements, such as the push to increase the minimum wage, also help.
Women typically work in lower paid jobs than men. When we increase the minimum wage, women disproportionately benefit.
This year's Equal Pay Day falls 8 days earlier than last year's, with the goal of moving it up even more next year. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Equal Pay Day was started back in 1996 to bring awareness to the issue. Members of Congress say they hope public pressure will push the Senate to also take up the Paycheck Fairness Act. The House Oversight Committee is investigating red flags in the security clearance application process for top-level White House officials. The House Oversight Committee is voting on whether to issue subpoenas to investigate how White House officials, including President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, received top-level security clearances. Democrats want to hear testimony from Carl Klein, the former director of the Personnel Security Office, about reported irregularities in the White House's security clearance process. Kushner claims he's done everything by the book.
But what the Democrats are doing is playing a very dangerous and a shameful game, frankly.
President Trump has denied any involvement in granting Kushner's security clearance. The Department of Homeland Security may reassign up to 2,000 more officers to handle a surge of immigrant families entering the United States illegally through Mexico. But if there is a border shutdown, businesses like Junior Farmers Market in Houston may be affected. The newly opened family-owned business gets more than half of its produce from Mexico.
If the borders were to close, I feel like it'd be a big impact on us.
Nearly half of all U.S. imported vegetables and 40% of the nation's imported fruit are grown in Mexico. A border shutdown could threaten more than $611 billion in yearly cross-border trade and impact nearly 5 million jobs nationwide, according to the Wilson Center. Los Angeles police have identified a suspect in the murder of rap star Nipsey Hussle. Now they are asking for the public's help to bring him into custody. Los Angeles police say 29-year-old Eric Holder is the man who murdered the Grammy-nominated Hussle and wounded 2 other men Sunday afternoon in front of Hussle's South LA clothing store. Investigators say Holder and Hussle had a verbal confrontation the day of the shooting. The LAPD says Holder left but returned later with a gun and fired multiple shots before running to a waiting vehicle.
We believe this to be a dispute between Mr. Hussle and Mr. Holder.
Chief Moore says Holder is a member of a gang, but police believe the dispute was not gang-related. Lawmakers in New Zealand voted overwhelmingly in favor of new gun restrictions today in the first stage of a bill they hoped to rush into law by the end of the week. Only a single lawmaker voted against it. The bill would ban the types of firearms that an alleged gunman used to kill 50 people in 2 mosques last month. The bill would not ban guns often used by farmers and hunters. These include semi-automatic .22 caliber or smaller guns that hold up to 10 rounds or shotguns that hold up to 5 rounds. The vote was the first of 3 lawmakers must pass before it becomes law. Let's head over to Wall Street now on this Tuesday afternoon. The Dow closes down today, more than 79 points. Do you enjoy Netflix? Well, you'll have to find more money in your budget to enjoy your favorite shows. Netflix plans to raise its prices again. The company will increase prices in the U.S. by $1 to $2 during the next billing cycle. Netflix says the increased revenue will help it add more television shows and movies. The company is investing heavily in original content. It budgeted $8 billion for new shows and movies in 2018. Straight ahead on First at 4, a second accuser comes forward alleging possible presidential candidate Joe Biden of inappropriate touching. But several women are also coming to his defense.
Been on a warming trend through the week, and it looks to continue for several more days. Full breakdown of the forecast is coming up in a few minutes.